I want to talk about how RIZIN is better than the PFL. I want to talk about how the PFL is a joke of an organization. No one cares about the season. I'm sorry. Bellator does it better. Have a tournament. Have a Grand Prix as like a separate entity, and then just still have your numbered card fights or your fight nights or, whatever. This whole season thing is a joke. When the PFL puts more effort into their season format than they do just some of these other fights where like Kayla Harrison's not even in the season format. She's one of the only fighters who I really care about in the PFL. I mean, Aubert Mercier, he's fucking awesome. Shane agrees with my PFL take. Well, thank you, Shane. Let me just go on a quick rant about the PFL before I talk about one of the situations that pissed me off. One of the situations that also like just kind of made me roll my eyes. And a direct comparison to why RIZIN's better. If you're not going to be allowed to throw elbows, and I get it, they want every fighter to participate in the entire season. I get why they don't do it, because they don't want cuts to end the fight. Well, you know what? RIZIN has rules around their elbows as well. Not the stupid one the UFC has, 12-6 elbows that, funny enough, Tatsuro Teru was asking Herb Dean if he was allowed to do mid-fight. It's one or the other. If you're going to eliminate that portion to avoid cuts, make up for it with violence. Either knees to the grounded opponents or the mother soccer kicks, or both. I advocate for both. I understand I'm a savage. They don't want cuts. They want their fighters to be as healthy as possible to fight 4 to 5 times throughout the season. That itself is crazy. So you get an injury in fighting, which every fighter gets injured, and your whole season, your chance at $1 million is gone. And you're probably making, unless you're a star, former UFC guy, you're not making that much anyways. It's absolutely insane. And on top of that, this season, everybody pissed hot, man. All the guys from the UFC pissed hot. So that's an embarrassment. The Positive Fighters League. I'm happy for Olivier Aubert Mercier. I really am. Oh, Canada, baby. Let's go. And I feel like he got too much flack in the UFC. He actually had a decent UFC run, and the guy now is striking a lot better than he did in the UFC and actually putting away cans, which is nice. Now, not all of them. I shouldn't say them. The last guy I fought was kind of a can. Fucking Fury, guys. I'm telling you, even though he was Canadian. I'm happy for Olivier Aubert Mercier. I'm happy Shane Burgos got the money. Hell, I'm happy Ngannou got the money as well, but we're not going to see Ngannou fight until 2024. I just think the PFL is an absolute joke. They're spending so much money on fighters, and I feel like they're not getting the viewership. Eris, Cage Warriors, and LFA shows were at venues and arenas that seated twice as many people, sometimes 3 times as many people than some of these PFL season shows. Like, I get they have 3 different TV deals, Fubo, DAZN in Europe, and ESPN. Where's the return? Why are they going ahead with this stupid season format? If they buy Bellator and they continue the season format rather than just adopt what Bellator, because Bellator's framework is good. Again, I love the tournaments mid-seasons. I love the Grand Prix and just normal ass number cards. You get a chance at $1 million, and you don't have to fight a season. You can fight a 3-fight tournament, and there's so much separation between. If you want to fight another fight between, you're healthy, fine. You get the opportunity to make money in a normal promotion with an opportunity to fight in a tournament as well. PFL 6, not a bad card for PFL standards. We saw some great knockouts. I even made a reaction video to my reaction to some of those great knockouts. Again, back-to-back head kicks, Sabadoussi, Olivier Aubert Mercier. Can't complain. One thing I can complain about, and what is an absolute embarrassment for the sport, embarrassment for this league, was the Natan Schulte against Raush Manfio fight. Now, this fight, I believe, has been overturned to no contest. As you can see here, it's even flagged on Tapology for not hard fought to intentional standards, which means they didn't try. And we saw that, folks. It was a glorified sparring match. I've been unsuccessful in finding footage of this fight. What a joke. And yeah, they were rolling together a little bit as well. Weren't trying to submit each other. They were literally holding each other's backs. It's a disgrace to jiu-jitsu as well. It's a disgrace to grappling. It's a disgrace to all the mixed martial arts, because these guys did not want to fight each other. Now, this is a blemish on the PFL as well. If you had any assumption, even the smallest bit, that these guys were not going to fulfill their contractual duty to fight each other then why did you match them up against each other? Apparently they're best friends, training partners. They had a gentleman's agreement not to hurt each other. They both went full Rory McDonald found Jesus.
Not for gay Jesus, people.
PFL with their stupid, and again, this is a blemish on PFL just as much as it is on these two guys. But the PFL suspended both of them, and Shane Burgos, who was out of the tournament despite his win, unanimous decision in his last fight. But yeah, so now Schultz criticizing the PFL as well, which I think it's like at this point, like, keep your mouth shut, man. He said, and he tweeted, I'm very unsatisfied with the decision that was taken by the PFL last night to favor Shane Burgos' entry into the playoffs. You remember Francis Ngannou's fight against Derek Lewis? He didn't throw 6 punches in the whole fight, and he wasn't cut for his performance that night. So I ask you, Francis Ngannou, since you protect the rights of the fighters, do you think this decision is correct? Bitch ass move, dude. I get that the PFL is to blame for even putting these guys together, but at that point, dude, fight each other. At that point, fight. These guys were both PFL season winners at one point, guys. Just an example that both of these guys can fight, okay? Because you know you could have fooled me.
The kind of power that joined these two love areas.
Oh, that's much
Arm triangle now. He can slide off.
Nice arm triangle choke there. Guy's a good grappler. He showed he can grapple a little bit, or he can hug in his last fight, at least. Raush Manfio can fight too, dude. Take a look at this. I know, a surprise. I didn't think these guys could fight either, man. Both them being PFL champions. She could have fooled me.
He's doing a great job here against Manfio. And all
Boom!
wow! Right hand! Big right hand! And that'll do it!
Where was that? Where was the elite grappling? Where was the even attempt to hit somebody? There was none. I know I'm nostalgic for Pride. I know inject that right into my veins. And what I loved about Pride was it was literally a real life anime show and martial arts competition, and hell, one night tournaments back in the day as well. It was brutal. It was the Wild East. It was a show. And at that time, they were the best. They had the best fighters in the world, and they rivaled the UFC. Now, go check out Napoleon Blown Apart's video on Pride. It's unbelievable. I've watched it for the 12th time just the other day. Sometimes I just listen to it as like a podcast because it's awesome. Yes, I understand that the UFC is the greatest fight promotion ever. The UFC would never be where it is today without absorbing Pride, more importantly, Strikeforce, and the WEC. It's the NFL of MMA here today, but it doesn't mean it's the most entertaining. Now, it's not every week you get cards like UFC 290. Every month when RIZIN puts on a card, even if the fighters are like a 5-8 fighter against, you know, a 13-3 guy who's crushed cans in Shudo, Japan, the show, Lene Hart, and quite frankly, they may not be the most technical fighters, but they go for it for the most part. Like, RIZIN MMA is entertaining MMA, okay? And with the mix of kickboxing on their cards as well, it's incredible. And now with their landmark shows, that they're actually doing shows in a cage, those who have a big problem with the ropes, you know, can actually tune in, and you can buy the pay-per-view on Fight TV. Even if you don't watch it live, you can rewatch it. There's just something special about Pride. Back to my comparison and the reason for this video. On the same night, okay, the same night that we saw this disgusting, embarrassing performance by Natan Schulte Raush Manfio, that same night, in a league that may have their gripes with elbows, but make up for it with the global rule set and allowing knees to grounded opponents and soccer kicks, a savage promotion where if you get knocked out in the ring, the bell goes, confetti flies, and you get to be announced as the winner over the near dead body of your opponent. You don't get interviewed. They give you the mic and you get to address the audience with your opponent potentially being stretchered out of the ring. Okay? That league compared to the soft PFL, no elbows and stupid season format, everyone's pissing hot. On that same night, ladies and gentlemen, this happened, okay? This happened. Two high school friends. Yeah, they may not have been best friends. They may not have been training partners. On the same night, two old high school buddies put on this performance. A, they actually fought. B, well, enjoy.
Bring his head up, go high. And he's trying to time the entry. He must be seeing a huge bullseye on that chin. There it is.
Jaw
there.
broken. Josh Allen. There's
Damn.
one more kick for good measure. He got stretchered out. He got stretchered out. I mentioned stretcher. The bell's ringing. He gets announced as the winner. His high school buddy. He shattered his jaw with that second strike, dude. On the same night that the PFL had that performance. On the same night, I was grinning ear to ear. Not only did the PFL embarrass itself, despite putting on an overall great card with the last 2 fights ending with head kick KO TKOs. All right. On the same night, RIZIN, similar storyline, 2 high school buddies. Neither of them hold back, and one of them ends up victorious, shattering the other's jaw and kicking him in the motherfucking face to end the fight.